what, I'll swap with you. You take my beautiful looking poodle, and they look at that would look at you and say, "Excuse me, this is my dog."
Yeah.
This is my dog. And he says, "So go to the mirror tonight and look in the mirror and say, 'I love you because you're my person.'"
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Apple Pie Club. We are here to take you on a thrilling journey through the realms of practical philosophy and spirituality. I'm Tanya, your practical philosopher, and I'm joined by Skye, your spiritual guide. And our aim is to offer you a holistic perspective on life, blending insights from diverse philosophers and spiritual practices. From personal growth to timeless wisdom, we've got it all covered. So, whether you're a seasoned seeker or just starting out on your journey, join us on this adventure. The Apple Pie Club is open to all, and we can't wait to have you along for the ride. So, grab a slice of apple pie, the recipes are in the notes, and let's dive into a world of ideas together. And today, the quote we're going to discuss is from Aristotle. To love someone is to identify with them. So, Skye, I'm going to first hand over to you.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you. Well, I have been so excited about talking about this quote because, first of all, we have to talk about to love someone is to identify with them. We have to talk about first loving ourselves. And I was 7 years old. I can remember the day I decided that I was unlovable and it was safer for me to hide in my own skin. And I walked around for almost 30 years with my eyes looking down to the ground and my shoulders round as if to protect my heart. And as you know, I've been on an extremely long journey to unravel all of that and to get to know myself, which is a podcast we did previously. But I'm so thrilled to be talking about this quote from Aristotle today because I recently completed reading Marcy Shimoff's book, Love for No Reason. And when I finished, I just found myself bursting with such a desire to explore this topic of love more. And I found myself wanting to open my heart to life rather than remaining closed, believing that this closed heart was protecting me from this harsh world out there. When in actual fact, when we close our heart to love and to life, we're actually not protecting ourselves at all. So after completing this book, there was one thing that I knew I wanted to do, and that was to explore this idea of self love more and to teach it to others. Because the reality is that we all deserve to be loved. And I want to say this to everyone who's listening no matter what you've done or not done, you're worthy of love. And so, if we use Aristotle's quote, to love someone is to identify with them, then we first have to interpret this as to love ourselves. We must identify with ourselves. And so, this word identify means to establish who or what someone is. So, when we can establish who or what we are, we can love who we are. So, who are we? Well, we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in a human body. So imagine loving people, not because they fill our needs, or because they believe the same things we do, or because they like the same things we like, or because they behave in ways that please us. But imagine loving people because we're connected to a state of pure love within ourselves. And that inner state of love doesn't depend on anything outside of us to validate it. No person, no situation can change it. And as Marcy so beautifully wrote in her book, Love for No Reason, we walk around in life with these little cups begging for a few drops of love from others, when actually we're the ocean of love. So I believe that if there is such a thing as the devil, it's the entity that keeps us from identifying with and loving who we are. If something or someone can stop us from loving ourselves, it prevents us from showing up as being these confident, amazing, beautiful, incredible human beings that we are and achieving all that we can do on this planet. So, as I mentioned, I can talk about this forever. So, Tanya,
Mm.
what about you? What does this quote mean to you?
Skye, I love how you mentioned Marcy Shimoff's book, Love for No Reason, and keeping your heart open, because we did mention that. Because any time that we snap it closed for whatever reason, we actually aren't loving ourselves and identifying with ourselves. We're actually giving our power away. So it's beautiful how that's mentioned in that book. I'm going to have to take a moment and grab that book and read it because you sound so excited about it.
It is a beautiful book. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do that. So now I'm going to turn back to Aristotle for a moment and look at three types of love that Aristotle referenced in his works, particularly in Nicomachean Ethics. And these are number one, friendships, then love, and then unconditional love. And when I was like doing research around this topic, it could go in so many different ways, but we only have a certain amount of time that we talk in each of our sessions. So in this one, I'm going to focus on friendship and unconditional rather than the romantic love or the erotic love, because that really is a subject in itself.
I'm going to touch on that. So you go ahead with the friendship and unconditional love.
Great. So the reason being is that ultimately, what we want people to do is spread kindness, happiness, and joy beyond themselves, but to other people as well. And that's what the Apple Pie Club is all about. And if you're a listener of ours, you'll get to see why and how we do that. So let's have a look at the three areas. First of all, Aristotle looked at love in terms of friendship, and he called that philia, so brotherly love. So Aristotle considered friendship to be one of the most highest forms of love.
Mm.
But there are different levels of friendship, and you'll recognize these different levels. So when you're listening, kind of bring to mind different friends that you have and how they may fall into these different categories. So the first one refers to a friendship of utility. Utility is not really the most attractive word, is it? So, but it's a friendship of benefit, right? It's a type of friendship where it's based on you're both getting something out of the friendship. You're each fulfilling a need or a goal in a certain way. So it might be a friendship based on you both like hiking together. Yeah. Or you both like baking apple pies. Yeah. So it's based on a mutual need that you're each getting fulfilled from. The second type of friendship refers to pleasure. And this type of friendship is based on mutual enjoyment of each other's company. So you'll go out and you'll laugh together. You might enjoy going to certain shows together, but you're getting immense pleasure out of it rather than getting a need fulfilled.
Mhm.
And then the final type of friendship is one that is of virtue. And that's what philosophy is about, is trying to reach the highest level of virtue that you can. And this is the highest form of friendship because it's very much based on mutual admiration for each other's character. And friends who fall into this category, you will genuinely wish the best for, and they will reciprocate that in return. So it's about you almost value each other, you grow together, you've got the same intellectual stimulation, you love each other. Ultimately, that's where you want to have at least one friend who falls under this category. But you don't tend to have more than five. You can't count these types of friends on more than one hand. And it was quite interesting. I was invited to a party not so long ago, and it was a 55th birthday party, and they had 180 people invited. And I thought, oh my God, at the age of 55, 180 people I would want to invite to a
Yes, yes.
party, right? Never known if I knew 180
What is the
people.
point, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason I'm saying that is you want to really get to understand who are your friends who fall under the friendship of virtue, which is the third one. Who are your friends where you admire, you connect with, you love, and it's mutual? They feel the same back because those are the friends that you want to make sure that you spend the time grabbing a slice of apple pie with, because
Yeah.
those are the ones where you're going to fulfill the quote is to love someone is to identify with them, because when you've got these people around you, not only do you identify with them and they identify with you, you actually identify with yourself. They let you be who you are. If you've got any problems, you can talk to them. They let you sing. So
Mm.
that's what I wanted to say about this quote. But I'm also going to touch on love and unconditional love, just so we've covered it off as a basis. So
Mhm.
Aristotle also touched on the view of romantic love, which he refers to as eros, which I'm sure we've all heard of that type of love. And unlike filial love, which is based on friendship and mutual respect, eros is more characterized by desire and longing for another person. Absolutely important in one's life and something that we will discuss. But I've decided to steer more towards friendship in this one. But
Mhm.
this type of love involves a physical attraction that can lead to an intimate relationship.
Mm.
But then it can also fall into a negative if you become obsessed with more of the sexual side of love and stuff like that. And we would definitely cover that in more detail because that's a fascinating subject in itself. Then we
Yeah.
come to the third type of love, which he calls unconditional love, which is agape. And agape was the goddess in Greek mythology. She was Aphrodite's sister, and it's very much about divine love. And this kind of love is selfless.
Mhm.
And when you have that selfless, you not only care about yourself, but you also care about the other person. So, see how I wanted to bring that in, because if you reach that third level of friendship, the virtue, you're actually also layering that with unconditional love.
Mm.
And that's where it starts very much falling in to what you talk about, Skye, which is divine love,
Mm.
selfless love, where
Mm.
we're going further up the ladder to spirituality, to
Mm.
oneness and everything like that. So if you nurture the friends that you've identified as your virtue friends, and
Mm.
you nurture that on the one hand, and you grow together, you are rising up the energy levels of spirituality at the same time.
Mm. I love that.
Therefore, I want the listeners to
Mm.
really consider those friends that they have with them. Take
Mhm.
some time and then nurture that unconditional friendship. So I'm going to hand back to you because I know you've got a story to share.
I've got a story to share, and actually, I'll just to say that we are going to talk about that intimate relationship and that love in an intimate setting in our next podcast. So, if people want to come back next week, we'll be talking about that more
Yeah.
with another based on another philosophical quote. So, but I want to tell you a story about as you're talking about this friendship of you know this unconditional love. So let me tell you a story about a woman named CJ. She had lupus disease and she was at the end of her rope. And she had tried everything, been to doctors. She was just exhausted with it. So she decided to go and meet a spiritual teacher. And after she told him of her story, she expected him to give her a lot of pity and sympathy, and relate to her situation. But he looked at her and he said, "Start doing acts of kindness for others every day." She looked at him and thought, "Are you for real? Like, did you not hear
Yeah,
me?"
right.
Did you not hear me, really? And so he told her that if all she could do initially was the metta meditation, that would be enough. And the metta meditation is to say these words: May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at ease. And then you think of somebody that you love, and they may be struggling or not, um, but you think of them and you say, "May you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at ease." And then think of all of those living human beings on the planet and say, "May all beings be safe, may all beings be happy, may all beings be at ease." So she went home and she did this. And slowly, as she began to extend her loving kindness to others simply by just imagining and speaking those words, after she then began to realize that she had enough, people would come to her and she had enough energy within her to be able to help someone in this way and to help someone in that way. And after a year, just 1 year, and she had struggled with this disease for years, she went back to her spiritual teacher to report to him that she was completely healed from her disease and she was happier than she had ever been before she got sick. Loving kindness
Wow.
really did help her to be happier, heal her life, and open her heart. So it comes back to that idea that as we live with an open heart and not so closed and focused on ourselves, and our own needs and our own desires. It helps us to see as well with this expanded ability to love, that we can let go of some of the hurts and the grievances and some of those very real heartaches that we've experienced. But knowing that when we hold on to that pain, it can cause disease in the body. And by just letting it go and allowing ourselves to open up and to love others, it can completely change our life. So it doesn't mean that we'll never feel those emotions of sadness and anger and hurt, but they don't have the same effect on us and they don't stay around that long to ruin our lives. So love is who we really are. That's the ultimate reality. Love is who we are. Love is the only energy that exists. And we can say, oh, there's bad things that happen and there's negative things that happen. But what if those experiences are all designed to help us to see who we are? And so then could it be that those experiences were loving experiences after all? So think of someone that you love. They may not be with you. Think about your love for them. The love you have for another is your love. If you're married, think about the love you have for your partner, your husband, your wife, someone you're in a relationship with. If you have children, think about the love that you have for your children. That love that you have for them is coming from you. So, is it possible to turn that love around and to turn it towards ourselves and to love ourselves with that same kind of love? When love flows in our lives and we're able to open our hearts to that same kind of love for ourselves, then we blossom, we begin to blossom. But when that love is not there for ourselves, we close our hearts, trying to protect ourselves from this harshness of life. And that's when so many problems we experience in the world. So love yourself. Can we love ourselves enough to love others? Even those who've hurt us in the past, and in doing so, set ourselves free and set them free. Do you know that 97% of Americans are looking for some meaning after they leave this world? Instead of focusing on loving the people in this beautiful planet and in their lives right now, they're looking at what's going to happen when their journey is over, on finding some meaning, life after death. Yet this is what our journey is all about. This is actually what we came here for. To have these relationships that you've been talking about, Tanya, to have these different kinds of relationships, these people that benefit us in some way because we interact with them, or people that we can love in some way because we have friendships with them, or to have um, erotic love with another person. That's why we've come to this earth, to actually have this human experience of learning how to love. And we take the good and the bad, the negative and the positive. All these experiences together teach us how to love ourselves and how to love others.
It's quite fascinating. Just kind of almost felt like I was hypnotized when you were saying that, just listening to you. When you say, is it possible to turn the love that we have for others? In some instances, it's easier to love others than it is to love ourselves, right? I was talking to someone the other day, and we were working through some issues that they had. And I said, what are you saying to yourself in your head about yourself?
Mm.
And then I said, so if you were to actually say what you're saying to yourself to another person, do you think that would be appropriate?
Exactly.
And you said,
Exactly.
no. I said, then stop talking to yourself like that because you're actually abusing yourself. So,
Exactly. I
and it's
love
true.
that. Yeah.
People who do abuse themselves
Mm.
and got really bad inner dialogue and are beating themselves up can't open their heart and love people as
Oh,
easily and as fluidly as people who actually also love themselves.
we have to love ourselves
Mm.
first. Because if we don't love ourselves, we cannot expect others to love us. If we don't believe that we're worthy, other people are not going to treat us as if we're worthy. If we
Yeah,
don't believe we're deserving of love, other people will not treat us as if we're deserving of love. And I heard something recently, and I love this. It's, we know the saying, familiarity breeds contempt. Well, we
yeah.
become familiar with ourselves because we are completely familiar with all of our flaws and all of our problems and all of our weaknesses, if we can call them that. And so we become familiar with this, and it breeds contempt in ourselves. Well, how can I love me? I'm flawed. How can I love me? I behaved like that yesterday, and I said this a week ago, and but I recently heard something, and Matthew, gosh, I wish I could give this person the credit. We will do it in the notes. We'll find out and we'll put it in the notes because I can't
Yeah.
remember his name right now. Matthew Hussey, that was him. And he said, he gave this example, and I love it so much. He said, when you ask people why you love your children, said, do you love your children? Yes, of course I love my children, and they said, what's the reason you love your children? And they don't say, well, because, they got a straight A at school last year, or
Mm.
because they made the football team, or, they kind of looked at it, because they're my children, and then he moved on to this example, and he said, so imagine you're walking down the street and you've got this beautiful little poodle that's all, made up and little ribbons everywhere. And you come across this person and they got this really grungy looking dog, this really mangy looking dog. And you walk up to this person and you say, geez, that's a real mangy looking dog. Well, I tell you what, I'll swap with you. You take my beautiful looking poodle. And they would look at you and say, excuse me, this is my dog.
Yeah.
This is my dog. And he says, so go to the mirror tonight and look in the mirror and say, I love you because you're my person. How
100%. Yes.
wow. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much we've messed up, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter what we've done, what we think we've done, what we've
Mm.
said. We are our person. This is the body I was given to live in on this planet. I'm mine. This is me. I'm mine. And so I take care of my body and I take care of myself and I love myself and it's taken me a long time, Tanya. I'm in my 50s. It's taken me a very long time, and I'm almost it's almost 10 years since I've left a really bad, difficult marriage, and it's taken me that long to realize I don't want to go into another relationship with those same hangups, with those same beliefs that I'm not worthy, that I don't deserve, because that's who I'll get, and I'll get somebody who treats me like I'm not worthy and I don't deserve love. So I do want to just say that you're so right in terms of this idea that we can turn our love towards ourselves, and we can
100%. Yeah.
just say, you're my person, and I've got your back, because sometimes we're the only ones who have our back, and so yeah, I'll leave that.
And, going back to what we say to ourselves about ourselves,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
somebody else said that to us about ourselves, we would get so upset, yet we do it to ourselves. So
do it
when
to
we
yourself
look at
in
the quote
love.
of what Aristotle says, to love someone is to identify them. Turn that quote on yourself. To love someone is to identify yourself.
Mhm.
You know, I think that we need to be very mindful about what do we say to ourselves about ourselves, you know, because we need to be as kind to ourselves as we are when we're talking to our best friends, yeah, or our partners and stuff like that, and to nip it in the bud as soon as we start being cruel to ourselves, because we wouldn't put up with anybody else talking to ourselves like that. And we certainly would never talk to somebody else like the way we talk to ourselves sometimes,
Yes, 100%.
And we really need going back to the heart. If you have a negative internal dialogue, if you beat yourself up all the time, if you're constantly judging yourself or whatever's going on in the head, if you say, well, I don't have any internal dialogue, and if you're saying that in your head, that is actually your internal dialogue saying that. So we all have the internal dialogue. We just
All
need
have,
to we need to listen to it.
yeah.
We need to listen to it, and we need to knock down the one which isn't doing us any good and build up the one who is, as we would knock down any negativity that our friends might be saying about themselves, and we
Yeah.
build up their self-esteem. We need to do that to ourselves, because that is to love someone, to love yourself. You've got to identify with yourself, and you've got to identify yourself by understanding
To
that
identify, to know.
internal dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the idea of, I know it was Lisa Nichols said the other day, uh, the mirror challenge, to go into the mirror and to say things like, and I'll say, Skye, I'm so proud of you for. And initially it was hard, like, gosh, okay, Skye, I'm proud of you for, and she said, even if you have to say things like getting out of bed this morning,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you if you're going through a difficult time. I'm so proud of you. You got out of bed and you faced the day.
Yeah.
So, there's so many beautiful things that we can say about ourselves. It's really interesting that it takes so long for us to think about them. What am I proud of myself for? We can say to other people, wow. In fact, just the other day, my friend in the States said to me, man, Skye, you've got this, man. You've totally got this. And I thought, really? Like what? Like really? It's so easy for other people to see, our successes and our achievements before we can see them ourselves. So, and I'm really focusing on changing that, turning that love
Mm.
that I would give to others and still give
Yeah.
to others, but turn it around and also give it to yourself. That same love that's in your heart for others, give it to yourself.
Because it opens up your heart, doesn't it? And it makes you it allows you to give even more love to others and for people to give it to you. Because if you're not giving yourself love, then that kind of energy center in you is closed. So even if somebody else was to pay you a compliment, you would almost dismiss it. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, you are. You're beautiful. No, I'm not beautiful. Because you don't believe it yourself. And I don't know whether it's about our culture and our upbringing, and we've been told not to brag. Brag's not the right thing to do. Some cultures very much embrace their
Mm,
brilliance more than other
mm,
cultures.
true.
But it's not, we're not saying walk around and tell everybody how fantastic you are.
No, no. And I think that's why this idea of self-love, well, I certainly know for me, I would say it had a bad rap. And it was certainly, for me, it was, I would see, selfies of people. And I think that was my image of loving myself, but actually it's not that at all. That's completely, I love this idea. I once said to somebody, a spiritual mentor actually that I had, who I love this woman so much. And I was unraveling all the layers of the onion, as we were talking about in a previous podcast of my travels around the world. And I came to the I'm inferior mask that I'd been wearing, this pattern. And I said to her, do you know, I know that we're supposed to, create the opposite. I said, but what is the opposite of I am inferior? It isn't I'm superior. I know that's wrong. I said, but I have absolutely no idea. Like, what's the opposite of I'm inferior? She looked at me with such love in her eyes and she said, Skye, the opposite of I'm inferior is I'm divine.
I'm divine.
I'm divine. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's so, yeah, it's that is it. It's not the self-love it's recognizing, as the statement says, who we are. It's identifying ourselves. It's recognizing who we are. We are divine beings who have come to this earth to have this experience. And I always say, if I could really understand that, how would I live my life? But we are divine beings. We've come to have this spiritual experience on this earthly planet in this earthly form. And so, if we can identify with that, then we can really learn to love ourselves. And in that way, because we know who we are, we remember who we are. And that's also how we can love others with a true sense of love, not a love for perhaps what we feel, as you've said, the benefit, what a relationship can bring to us or give to us, not even a friendship for pleasure, just a being, an absolute being in this energy of love where we can just love life, love our own lives, and love others as well.
I think I like how you did highlight, because I think it's important for us to distinguish between self-love, which we are talking about how you can start that journey by really being mindful of how you're talking to yourself. Self-love is not snapping photographs of yourself and putting it on social media. So, for people not to get confused that, oh, well, I don't want to love myself because I don't want to come across like that.
That's it.
Self-indulged and self-absorbed or whatever. That's not what we're talking about. It's about really
Because what
know
what
what's
I
going on in your
realized
head.
was that inferiority and superiority, they're actually on the same energy level. They're the same vibration.
Yes.
Whether you're feeling inferior, whether you're feeling superior, it's the same vibrational frequency. Because one day
Mm.
we'll feel inferior, we're gonna, oh, I'm gonna bump myself up. So actually, feel a little bit superior. Then we feel superior, then we think, okay, well, can't feel superior, so we feel a little bit inferior. It's the same energy level, and it just keeps us in this crazy state. But
The
when
up and down roller coaster feeling, kind of emotional.
on the same level, exactly.
Yeah.
When we realize we're a level up, we're on this vibrational frequency of I'm divine. I don't have to feel inferior ever. And of course, we don't have to love our bodies, and we don't have to desire this neck lift
That
we
we talk about all the
that we
time.
talk about all the time, which is, Auntie Shanti says, accept as it is, but then you can still have it, but
Yeah.
just without the need to change it. I can still love who I am. I can still
Yeah.
love my body, love the body I've been given. I'm so grateful. It's a healthy body. I've been given the most incredibly healthy body, and I'm so grateful for my body. And so I,
And that brings you closer to what Aristotle is saying, to love someone is to identify them. That brings you closer to that statement by exactly what you're saying there.
because actually, when we identify with ourselves, we identify with others. We don't look
Mm.
at their negative traits. We don't look at their weaknesses, if that's what we want to call it. We recognize that we all have times. In fact, the positive and the weaknesses, it gives us equal, and the negatives gives us equilibrium in a relationship. We have to have the one without the other, with the other.
Because you
So,
don't appreciate, do you?
yeah,
It just is
well,
one static road going bubbling along.
I like to say, well, I think I could do that for a while. But actually, my friend, I'm gonna talk about this. My friend says, she gives us this example, and I remember her telling me this. She said, well, there's a guy who gets to heaven, and he arrives there, and there's this amazing golf course. He loves to play golf. So there's this amazing, immaculate golf course. So he says, well, can I go out and play golf today? And you can go play golf every day, So, wow, this is amazing. So he goes out and he hits his first shot, and bam, hits hole in one. Wow, this is amazing. Second shot, hole in one. Third shot, where he normally would have been in the river or the trees, hole in one. By the time he'd got through 18 rounds, he thought, wow, that was a bit of a boring game of
Yeah.
golf. You know, 18 rounds, hole in one every time,
Yeah.
And the point is exactly that. If we don't hit the ball into the trees, so that we can go and gather it and have a little bit of a challenge, and find that ball, and get it out of the trees, and
Yeah.
etc., life becomes a little boring. So the key is, how much drama, how much challenge. But
Yeah.
we need that. And there's a wonderful book, The Breakthrough Experience, and Joe DiMartini, and he absolutely is an advocate for the fact that life has both the positive and the negative charge.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have both, but we can, when we love someone, we identify with them. We identify that they are just like us. They have the positive charge and the negative charge. They have those experiences. Now, we can decide that there's too much drama in this relationship. I'm just going to move aside from this, and that's perfectly acceptable. But it is really a situation of knowing who they are. They're also divine beings that have been given this gift of life, and they are walking their own journey, which I'm going to talk about in the next episode, actually.
And again, it's our 80-20 rule: 80% high, 20% low or less.
Actually, Joe DiMartini talks about 50-50. So when I read that, I
Really?
thought,
Oh, no,
oh,
I couldn't cope with
no.
that.
No, I couldn't cope
No,
with
I couldn't do
that.
50% negative, 50% positive.
He's Joe DiMartini. But anyway, I'm
Right.
going to go
Okay.
with.
Do you have any tips for our listeners as we
I
end this
do.
session?
Well, yep, let's end with my tip. So my tip is it's a scientific fact that we all have a pain body, okay, that we relate to the level of pain, but we also have a love body. And we can develop our love body by feeding it. Guess what we feed it? We feed it more love. So the more developed our love body, the more love we radiate. And so, how do we develop it? By creating new habits. And strengthening our love body allows us to keep our heart open, which was what we've been talking about, keeping our heart open to love. So, my tip today is just think of one habit that you could implement in your life to develop your love body, whether it's looking in the mirror and doing that mirror challenge, whether it's doing this, whether it's asking yourself 3 or 4 times throughout the day, um, what would be the most loving thing that I could do for you today, Skye? And just listen inside. And it could be as simple as drink a glass of water, create a delicious meal, go for a walk. The other day I had a massage. Just what could be the most loving thing, would be the most loving thing you could do for yourself today. So
Wonderful. Beautiful.
that's my tip.
Thank you. All right. My tip's going to be on the same level of yours because I think it's critical for people, our listeners, to begin to love themselves with confidence, with commitment, with determination, because ultimately that's what leads to a joyful, fulfilling life. So my tip is to become more aware of your inner dialogue
Great.
and to identify when you're not talking to yourself like you would to a friend who you were supporting.
Mm.
And then and you might not realize that you're actually doing that, because obviously we don't think about everything we're thinking about because we'd end up going crazy. But there will be points in the day where you don't feel quite as light and cheery as you could. That would have come from some sort of inner dialogue.
Mm.
So when you're not feeling as wonderful as you can, just take a moment and sit back and wonder how your energy got to that level.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Now, something external might have happened, but it would have been your internal dialogue going, constantly commenting it and giving you a running commentary on what should have happened, what shouldn't have happened, blah, blah, blah. That's what I would like people to click into, the words that you're saying to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then making a conscious choice to actually change them. You can stand in front of the mirror, link it onto what advice you've given, stand in front of the mirror, but look at yourself as if it's your best friend and treat yourself like that. That would be my tip.
Great. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, Tanya.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for listening. If you want to stay, we are going to now go through a meditation.
I'm going to do a meditation called the inner chamber, which is a heart of intuition meditation.
There you go. So we've got a lovely little meditation coming up. You can check off now. We also actually split the meditation into a separate meditation. So if you're leaving us now, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to speaking to you and with you next week. And off we go with the beautiful meditation. Close your eyes and receive a few deep breaths. And imagine gathering all the bits of your attention and your focus and your energy into the center of your head behind your third eye, between your eyebrows. Gather any of your attention that's on your past and bring it to the present, right here, right now. Gather your attention back from the future and bring it to the present. And bring that and any other scattered attention into the still point, a point of light in the center of your head. Continue to breathe deep breaths. Now imagine sliding down a tube from the center of your head into the space of your heart. Look around and find a door. This is the door to the inner chamber of your heart, a space reserved just for you and your essence. Some call it your higher self. Some call it your trusted source. Some call it spirit or God. Open the door, enter in, then close the door securely behind you. Look around at this inner space and notice how it looks. Move to the center and allow a golden light from above to connect into you. And feel the walls of your ego melt away. Those walls of resentment, those walls of anger, those walls of bitterness, those walls of sadness, those walls of shame, those walls of guilt. Feel them simply melting away. All of those walls that have enabled you to close your heart to love. See them melting away in this golden light. Experience for a moment the real you, the true you, the divine you. And what important question do you have? Now's the time to ask it. Allow your deep answers to emerge. Let yourself be surprised. Your answers could come in the form of a feeling or a thought or an image or simply a knowing. When you listen long enough, answers will come out of the silence and the stillness. Rest in this space, and you can ask another question too. When you feel complete, say thank you. Then exit the chamber, closing the door behind you. Be sure to bring your answers with you as you go back up the tube to the center of your head. Take a moment to let the wisdom of your heart fill your mind. And then open your eyes slowly.